colors. We love them. What does that even mean? I've had this idea for live streamers. If you're using OBS Studio, you can probably set it up so that chat perhaps could control the colors of your overall like color scheme, your overlays and stuff. Maybe even control a little bit of a color filter, maybe a circular color filter so that you're not affected, but everything else would change color per command. You can make it channel points, maybe with alerts. You can make it temporary, you can make it permanent. So this is what we're gonna explore today. How to dynamically change colors in OBS Studio while you're live streaming, and all of it automatic, of course. Of course, there's gonna be a gazillion ways of achieving that, but let's start simple with some overlays. If you don't have any overlays, you can go to photop.com, click on templates, type my name in the search bar, and you'll find a bunch of customizable overlays that I made for you, and they're all free. If they're here, they're free. I don't even think they have a monetizable system in there. Doesn't matter. And I made this recently. It's called Color. And I might even put a time lapse of how I created it. If you want a long version of how I made it, basically step by step, no edits whatsoever, probably no sounds also, I could probably post it as a members only thing. Yeah, I should start doing that. Anyways, so we have an overlay here. It's an intermission overlay. Let me turn off my camera for a second. When you open it here, you're gonna see a red thing that says turn off. And there you go. I only kept it there for the preview. So you turn this off and you can already export this file, export as PNG, and you'll have the overlay. Just click save, it'll appear here, boom, that simple. If you want to change the text, you can double click on the T here, that's the text, double click, and then type, I am clearly an adult. So my overlays that you can find here on Photop, but also on gumroad.com/getlevel are usually one single color for that purpose, so that if you want to change the color, all you have to do is use one single filter and it'll change to the color you want. It's usually black, white, plus an extra color. Blue is the most popular one, but there's red in there. You're gonna find some pink stuff, some light blue, and all that. This is where you can actually buy overlays, okay? Gumroad.com/getlevel. Most of them are free. I think 70% of them are free, and then the rest is very, very cheap. And of course, you'll find animated ones and all that. But hey, I'm not here to plug my stuff. Well, actually I am, but I wanna explain the principle. So if you have this overlay, you wanna go to OBS, let's create a new scene for that. And you want to add it as an image, because this one in particular is an image. You wanna click browse, go find it. There it is. Okay, so we have transparent background, so we can add a camera source, video capture device, existing one, place it here. And since it already has a cutout, you can drag it underneath the overlay and just place it appropriately. Do not ask me what accent that was. Cool. Top right here, you can put whatever you want, usually like your logo or your sponsors, or just like the gameplay. If you're in the lobby and that's why you're in this scene, it's cool to display your lobby here. Not playing any games right now, so what we're gonna do is put like a looping video. Again, put it underneath the overlay. There we go. All right, that was OBS 101 on how to set up overlays. This is not what the video is about. So if I want to change colors, what I would do here, actually it's so disturbing to have my camera like this. Let me just flip it. Right click, transform, flip horizontal. There you go. Feels a little more natural. The overlay itself, you can go to filters or right click filters, add a new filter, color correction, click OK. And again, my overlays are usually single color. So once you play with the hue shift, it can be whatever color you want, baby. And that's exactly one of the principles of color shift that we can apply to this. I'm gonna set my hue shift to 0 and I'm gonna rename that filter, color correction. I'm gonna press F2 and we're gonna call it base. Now I can right click, I can duplicate it. And let's say this is red. Now I just have to play around with it until I find something that is at least close to red. And of course, the hue shift sometimes is not enough depending on the values. So you can also play with the saturation. If you bump this up, now I get red. And depending on the overlay you're using, if you really can't seem to find the exact color you want, you can decide to basically add that color to either the darker parts of the overlay or the brighter parts of the overlay. So that's where you have color add and color multiply. So instead of white, I can just pick red and it will shift the whole thing. You usually lose the brightness when you do that though. So that's also a possibility. We're gonna keep it white and just do our best. I actually like the color shift. We're getting a little bit of purple, a little bit of pink and a little bit of orange here. Makes it more dynamic like that. All right, I can duplicate this and then I'll do green. You have to turn this one off. Otherwise, like the values on top of each other is gonna do this. So make sure they're isolated. Okay, I think that's enough. So we have the base color, which is basically nothing, no change. Then we have red, then we have green, then we have purple. So basically from this, all we would need is for Streamer.bot, for example, to control this, to basically turn on a filter. So we can add a command and say, hey, add a command, turn on this filter, wait 5 seconds, turn it off, or just keep it on. And then the next command would be like, turn everything off and turn this one on. Turn everything off, turn this one on. So that is one way of controlling this. We'll get into Streamer.bot later, but the principles. Now, one characteristic of this method is that it's abrupt. It's just filter on, filter off. There's no fading in, there's no fading out. It's just that abrupt. And this is where we can delete all of this. I hope you're keeping up. This is not like a OBS 101 video. And if I'm correct, with the move plugin, aka the move transition plugin, you should have a source, a filter source. A filter source? You should have a filter called move value. So here we would go and actually move the values with that. So this would be my red. And then when it comes to filter, I would go to base. So it would directly be switching like the hue values from the base filter. Move value type, you can pick single setting because the hue is mostly what interests us. But if you want to have all of the settings, you can also do that. Let's go hue shift. I can click get value to see what value it's at right now. Is it 0? It is at 0. And then on the base, make sure you have it turned on. You can play around with the hue to know exactly what the values are. So right now, the values for the red, if I bump up the saturation a little bit, values for the red are going to be at minus 156. So I can put minus 156. Okay. Then I can go back on the base and make sure that it's at 0. And we have custom duration. Custom duration is basically how long it's going to take to get to that value from the initial position. Let's make it real slow, 3 seconds. So you can really see that shift. You can also set an end delay. So basically how long it's going to take before it takes into account that it ended technically before it turns off. I'm going to put 2 seconds. And then for next move, I could put reverse. I believe that will bring it back to the base level. I'm not completely sure. So now we only have to tell a software like Streamer.bot or Mix It Up or whatever you're using to trigger stuff to just turn this on and hopefully it works. Goes to the red. 2 seconds and goes back. So now you're moving a little more professionally, okay? It looks a little bit better because it's slowly shifting to that color and then going back instead of the pop of adding a bunch of filters. But adding a bunch of filters is a little less complicated basically because you don't have to use the move plugin. Okay, so that's 2 of the main methods to make that happen. Now let's get into the even better, kind of, depending on what you want to achieve. What I did is I went on an overlay like that. I basically flattened the whole image. I can press Control A, Control Shift C to copy everything visible, Control V to paste everything visible. I'm gonna put it out of the folder, turn the folder off. Okay, so now we have a flat image. And in Photo P, just like in Photoshop, Photo P is basically Photoshop for free. You can go to select color range, and then you pick a color. I think the color range thing is a little bit better on Photoshop actually, but whatever. Play with the fuzziness so you make sure that it's encapsulating all of that color. Okay, click OK. And I'm going to create a mask. I'm going to go bottom here where my layers are at. And I'm click add raster mask. It did the opposite of what I want. So I'm going to press Control I to invert that mask. Control I. Okay, cool. We still have some residue of the blue, but it's not a huge problem. And what you can do is basically export this. So you can see it's really not precise, but whatever. And then you can export this as a PNG. I've already done that a little better. I have an alpha one right there. Cool. So here in my overlay, I'm going to double click browse and pick that one. So it looks a little less appealing, I would say. Now, the method we're going to use to change color is a color source. Okay, so that's step 1. You can change colors with a color source. I believe Streamer.bot has a whole dedicated sub-action for color source color changes. You add the color source, it's the size of your thing, and you can pick whatever basic color you want. We can go with blue. I know you guys love the blue. Click OK and drag it underneath everything pretty much. All right, now we have an overlay with color. I turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, and I can change the color whenever I want. Streamer.bot will allow me to change the colors also, so that's the advantage. In fact, we should probably test that. Let me open up Streamer.bot. Oops, sorry, let me make it tiny. I think it's less intimidating when it's tiny because we don't have like huge blank spaces. I'm gonna add a new action. Under the action tab, let me be clear. I'm gonna right click, click add, call it color change, boom, under sub action. We're gonna find something that has to do with OBS and color sources, right? So sources, and then set color source color right there. So the scene is scene 2. The color source is color source 2. And there's random color. How does that work? Let me click test. Oh, random value too. It's not just the hue. All right, so this is how you would make it so that every time someone triggers this, it picks a random color. So you can do that. Or you can set specific colors if you want specific commands. For example, if you want red, oh, there we go. Oh, that's so cool. Click OK. And now you just need to figure out which trigger you want for this. Do you want a channel point, for example? Do you want commands, chat commands? Do you want voice control? We recently made 2 videos about voice control in Streamer.bot. So go check those out if you want to know how to do it. You can set them up with hotkeys. You can set, it's Streamer.bot. You can trigger it with whatever. You can even trigger it with your heart rate if you're using something like Pulsoid. My favorite method, just for when I'm testing and making a tutorial, is reward redemption. Why can't I create a reward? Hello? Wait, why are you not connected to Twitch? Okay, that was weird. Let's go back to action. Right click, Twitch, channel reward, reward redemption, create reward, red, delete, because I need to remember to delete it. Oh, you can even put a background color that matches with it. So your channel points tab can have a bunch of colors and people can immediately tell which one is which. That's pretty nice. Click OK, click OK. And now, do I have Twitch chat somewhere? All right, so now from the channel points, I can click on levels. That's the name of my channel points. Click red and click redeem. Ta-da! And then on my particular camera, I have a vignette thing that is an alpha channel. So it's slightly transparent. So I'm actually getting a little bit of that red into my camera. I'm using the shader filter plugin for that. But that's a story for another day. As you can see, this is not perfect. Like I didn't cut this out perfectly. That is definitely my fault. But if you create your own overlays, it's super easy to fix that basically. Wait, no, never mind. I think it's just because I didn't place my camera properly. I can crop my camera, hold Alt and boop. There you go. There you go. Okay, now that's good. And right there, that is perfect. Now you might be wondering, why is this method any better? It seems more complicated and blah, blah, blah. Well, the thing is, it doesn't have to be a color source underneath your overlay, right? If I turn this off, I can put whatever I want underneath it. Heck, I have the media source here. If I copy it, right click, paste reference, put it at the bottom of everything, okay? And make it so that it covers the whole screen. I now have an animated overlay, right? The parts where the colors were supposed to be, I'm going to have this. I could probably slap a blur in it and it looks decent. Now, of course, it's gameplay. It's not supposed to look aesthetic or anything, but it's just to show you the possibility, which means that you can go ahead and find stock footage on a website like pexels.com. Let's search for colors, for example, and you'll see a lot of stock footage. Make sure you give people credit and stuff, but this could be our overlay, the colors of our overlay. This could be this cool animation playing in the background, ink splatters, any abstract type of stuff that can fill the screen. Which means that now your whole stream setup could be, forgive me for this comparison, could be like some CSGO skins, right? Some video game aesthetic cosmetic stuff. Maybe, you know, the amount of donations, the amount of tips you get will unlock the more extravagant ones. We have an actual lava lamp there. I actually like this a lot. Let me download it. And those are like 4K quality stuff. The creator is Anthony. You can give a tip to Anthony if you're going to use their footage. And there it is. It has been downloaded. So now I just need to set this up. We can delete that gameplay thing. I just need to add it as a media source. Right there, media source. And I can go find it wherever it is, right there. Make sure it loops, so it plays forever. You can play around with the speed if you want it to be a little slower, if it's a little too distracting, if it's a lot of things moving fast. Click OK. It will fill the screen. Of course, it's 4K. My canvas is 1080p, so I can right click, transform, fit to screen. There you go. And drag it to the bottom. Boom. Again, I've done all of that super fast. I would probably like advise you to create your own overlay that has transparent parts so that it looks a little bit better. But I think this showcases the result still. My camera having this, let me turn off the vignette even though it's helping a lot. But I want to show you what it would look like, I guess, with your camera. Right there. There you go. So that's my camera playing. And yeah, just a subtle little animation going on with the colors in the background the whole time. And it's looping. And in this case, with Streamer.bot, for example, what you would want to do instead of set color source, let me delete that, is basically turn this on or off. That's it. Turn this on, turn this off. Turn this on, turn this off. Let me change the color on that. Someone redeemed the animated one. Boom, there it is, animated. You can also use this for alerts. You can make more, you can put more dynamic stuff that will move around behind the overlay to make that happen. Let me put my filter back. I kind of like that. It's the vignette effect on the shader filter plugin. Let's find something more extravagant, like fireworks, for example. This is also from Anthony. All right, downloaded. And I'm just going to replace that one. Click OK. And yeah, this could be an alert playing for a couple seconds until it shuts off again. And then it goes back to a plain color. There's a gazillion possibilities. And one thing that's very important with your media sources, especially when you're adding multiple like that, is that you want to keep an eye on your mixer, because some of them have sounds and sometimes you're not hearing it because you don't have monitoring on. And yeah, see, those are the fireworks absolutely saturating the headphones of my viewers right now. I wouldn't know. So you would want to turn that off. Media source 3 is just like the video game. I guess you wouldn't have that problem. But yeah, there you go. There are so many animations, and you can film your own stuff too. Oh, and also since those are also their own separate sources, it means that you can treat them as their own separate sources. Let me turn off my camera, for example. You can add filters to that too. Filters, color correction filter. If you want a better color, just play with the hue shift. There you go. Now you have a purple background-ish, and yeah, you have an animated purple pink-ish overlay. It's that simple. It's that simple. So I guess this method also works for if you want animated overlays for the cheap, create them in PNG, just leave some transparent parts and then add stock footage. That way you can change the skin of your overlay whenever you want without using any animation software, any editing software, any motion design software. Just with all the control that you have. Let's speed this up like a lot. So it's like a little more dynamic. Pretty cool. I'll play around with that a lot. Oh yeah, I did mention something about changing the colors of the room. For example, if you're like me, you have a pretty high quality camera when you're live streaming and you have, you know, some lights. Right now, the theme is blue, mostly because I'm doing this gradient thing for the thumbnails. But if I wanted to let chat change the colors of this, I would probably have like, yeah, a circular mask around me, feathered, and then a color correction filter around the rest, right? I'm usually in the middle of the screen. So how would I go about this? Actually, no, I would probably put the camera on its own scene. I would add that scene to my scene, added camera scene. And now I believe I can add filters to that camera scene without it affecting whatever's in the middle here or original camera. So if I click plus and I go color correction filter, we can shift the hue. Let's say we want people to let people go from blue to yellowish. Okay, cool. All I would need is, yeah, some sort of mask before that color correction filter or after that color correction filter. So you can use the classic image mask blend if you don't want to use extra plugins. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Still using Photopea. Let's create new 1080p. And we're going to create like a mask. I'm going to turn this to black. Press U, press Shift U to go to the ellipse tool. Click and drag holding Shift to create a perfect circle. Control A to select everything. V for the move tool. Align everything up top here. So horizontally, vertically. Double click on the icon of, well, Control D to deselect. Double click on the icon of the shape to select the color. Boom. So that would be a mask. You can invert the colors. It doesn't really matter. Usually white reveals, black hides, but you can flip it. I'm going to duplicate this, holding Alt, click, dragging up. I'm going to right click. I'm going to rasterize it. Rasterize. And now I'm just going to add a good old Gaussian blur to it so I can have some feather, some feathering, some feather, some feathers. So there's going to be that transition between what's around me to me. So levels of gray or levels of transparency for that effect, basically. Just like that. I think that's correct. Now we can just export it as PNG. Click Save, call this mask, go back to OBS and just browse. Mask. I think I did the opposite. Okay, but you see the vision, right? Type alpha. Oh, I thought I could invert it on the original. I can't invert it? Okay. Well, that's my bad. Do the opposite, I guess. I'm just going to Control A, Control Shift C to copy everything, Control V to paste everything, Control I to invert everything, and just export as PNG. I'm just going to overwrite the original file. Oh, do you want to replace it? Yes. And it should be updated in OBS before I even come back. Okay, so it's not the most practical because of that specific effect, but you can see that it's indeed taking effect. And from there, you can do the value, all the stuff that I showed you. You can have multiple filters like that, I guess, and have Streamer.bot trigger them. So that's how I would do it if it was for the camera. The other one I wanted to talk about was the shader filter plugin. If you know how to use that, if you already have that, they also have masks, but I don't want to. There's 122 masks, so I don't. There's 122 effects, so I don't remember which ones were actually masked. I just remember there's a circle one and there's a circle mask filter. Let's turn the previous one off. Oh my God. And this one, you can play around with it, but it doesn't have any feathering. Not that I know of. But at least it's dynamic. Depending on the situation, you might want to reposition it. Maybe if you add an extra blur to this one, but at this point, what are you doing? Anyways, that's all the ideas that I have for now. I'm probably going to remember one as soon as I stop recording. But yeah, here's how you can dynamically change colors. I know with Streamer.bot, I didn't spend that much time, but I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you kind of know how Streamer.bot works. But basically sub-actions, you can turn on filters, you can turn off filters. You can switch colors directly from color source filters. If you want to turn stuff on, OBS, sources, set source visibility state. If it's a filter, set source filter state. For example, I can set this so that my camera scene, so the source would be camera scene, and then and that's the color correction filter that we added, which is giving us this green. We can make it hidden. Click OK. Go to your channel points now. Since we already have it as a trigger, if I click red, which doesn't make sense anymore, it's going to turn it off. Just like that. Okay, so that's why I don't go into depth, because it's that simple. But also watch my other videos. Watch all my Streamer.bot videos, because I basically uncover more and more stuff that Streamer.bot can do and talk about more principles. I just want to show those theoretical videos with you guys to unlock your creativity to do some amazing stuff. There's a video recently where I mentioned that, wow, Streamer.bot is so cool and so complex that you could probably make a functioning video game with it. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of working on that. I'm kind of trying to figure out ways to make that happen, to basically extract values so that I can trigger events. But I think that's gonna take a long time, so don't quote me on that. So yeah, that was multiple ways of controlling colors with OBS Studio, but also how to have animated overlays when you only have access to image editors. If you plan on using this and if you create some interactions for your stream, share me some clips on Twitter. You can find me there at @level_photo. I always love when people show me the things that my videos inspired them to make. Make sure you follow me on Twitch, and I will see you all later. Thank you so much for watching. Go out there, make me proud, get level, out.